Welcome back to the Creating Distance podcast hosted by TA Sales. I'm your host, Tom Alaimo. Some people call me Tommy Tahoe. And each week on Fridays, we'll be bringing you an episode to break down with salespeople and sales leaders the top tips, tactics, strategies, stories that you need to get to the next level of your career and up-level yourself. So let's get into it.
All right, we are back with another episode of Creating Distance. We have Sai and Atul from Hyperbound, co-founders. How we doing, guys?
Excited to be on here, Tom. Long time coming, man. We've been looking forward to this.
It has been a long time coming indeed. You guys are calling in from Hyperbound HQ. You can see you guys got a sleek office. Just you can't see too much behind you, Sai, but a little bit with the exposed brick. It looks nice.
Oh no, it's a nice spot. We've we got quite lucky in the office.
Love it. So there's a lot that we want to talk about. It's hard to go on LinkedIn without seeing you guys every once in a while talking about some controversial topics around AI and sales, or video of one of you guys slamming the gong after a big deal. So I think it'd be interesting to kind of tell the story of you guys and how you came up through YC, building the business from scratch. Just so the listeners have a little bit of context. It was at the beginning. I think my timeline serves me in my mind. At the beginning of last year, I'm getting pinged, emailed relentlessly by Sai, talking about he's reading my content. He's building this AI sales company. It's AI role playing, and meanwhile I'm equally trying to build a business and don't always take these types of calls. And after a while, I just said, man, this guy's persistent enough. I'm going to take the call. He had connected with a few of my friends in the space, and have just always admired for the last 2 years the persistence, the hustle every time that I talk with you guys, and the commitment to the brand. So I'd love to take it back to the early days of the last few years, how you guys met, how you guys came up with the idea, saw the market, and just like the early learning curve of product market fit in a brand new world of AI and role playing within sales.
Awesome. Man, I got to say, those emails, I don't regret them once. I badgered Tom for real. And, I still remember I used the SDR guilt trip, the classic. I was like, man, you can't be talking about SDRs and not respond to my email, man. But no, it's been a crazy journey in the last 18 months, Tom. I think, for most people that don't know, Atul and I, we're both engineers originally. So when we started the company in 2023, this was June of 2023, we had never done a single discovery call, never done a demo, never done negotiation. So we were completely greenfield. And, along the journey, we had 17 ideas at the time coming into Y Combinator. And we had raised a little bit of money, and we were just really pumped about starting a startup together. We're both high school friends, by the way. We've known each other for 13 years now.
Nice.
And we decided to come together and start this startup. And we reached out to nearly 25,000 people, Tom, on LinkedIn, cold, right? Just like yourself.
25,000?
25,000 people,
wow.
All hand personalized, by the way, and no sequences, no automation. Like I had no idea how to use Apollo or Outreach back then. I was just doing this straight from my Gmail account. And, at the end of the day, we managed to book 2,000 user interviews with people, right? Just like yourself. And it was just like quick 15 to 30 minute chats, just introducing ourselves. And along the way, we decided, okay, we're going to work on this idea for AI email automation. So it was like an AI SDR almost. We didn't call it that back then, but that's essentially what it was. And we started selling that. We went from 0 to 250K in ARR. And in December of 2023, we were at a conference in New York. And I remember sitting at a round table with Atul, with a bunch of CROs. And, one of them turned to Atul and he was like, wait, so let me get this straight. Like 3 months ago, you started this company. You started selling this AI SDR product. You're at 250K in ARR. like, how'd you guys learn to sell so quickly? He's like, it takes my reps 3 months to close their first deal, and you guys have 10 customers already. And we're like, well, we practice on this AI thing that we built. It's not a big deal. It's just this like side project of ours. And they're like, no, this is a big deal. Like, can I see it? Then we spend the rest of the week booking some coffee chats with these folks. We demoed that product to them, and they were mind blown. And I think that was, and I'll let Atul complete the story here, but that was definitely a very eye-opening moment from there onwards.
Yeah, I mean, just the sheer excitement. We've built a lot of things in our lives before this, right? The sheer excitement that we saw from these folks for this product was something very, very different, and we knew that we were onto something. Folks wanted to rip this out of our hands instead of us pushing it on people. So we're like, let's give this a real shot. Let's launch this as a product. So we productized this little internal tool that we had been using. We put it out there in January of 2024, and it went viral instantly everywhere. Without very much of a push from us. It went viral on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram. We don't even have presences on most of those platforms. But people are finding out about our website, trying the demo, and posting a video of them trying the demo to their friends. We were waking up in the middle of the night with text messages from our high school friends being like, is this your product? Is this you all? It was showing up in their feed. It was a crazy couple of months. And we actually rocketed from 0 to 1 mil in ARR exclusively from the inbound generated from the virality in that push in much less than a year. So yeah, the pull of a product that really solves what people are looking for can't be beat.
Yeah, it's interesting. Years ago, I had Manny Medina on this podcast, founder of Outreach, and he told a similar story where he was working at Microsoft, and I don't know if you guys have ever met Manny or some of the other founders in the sales tech world.
He's one of our executive advisors. Yeah,
I was hanging out with him in London 2 weeks ago. Yeah, great guy.
Shout out to Manny. Okay, love it. Yeah, he told a very similar story with him, and I think his 3 co-founders, and I forget what they were originally selling, but they were using an outreach prototype basically to like get all their meetings, and that turned into the product, and the rest is history from there. So I love that. I also didn't know you guys were childhood friends, so that blood runs thick with you guys of the relationship, and I was curious where you guys had met, and I imagine that chemistry just helps you guys handle a lot of the adversity and long days, long weeks.
Oh, I mean, running a startup is tough. There's a lot of game-changing, critical decisions that you make daily. Like career-ending decisions that you make on a regularly scheduled basis. And having someone that you can really, really trust through all of that is insane. I honestly don't know how people do this without being friends with someone for 13 years. How do you just find a co-founder on a co-founder matching site and go on a journey this intense and this deep? I don't get it. I'm very happy to have Sai, though.
Yeah, but then again, people use dating apps, so
this is true.
Possible.
This is
I met
true.
my wife on a dating app, so hey,
there you go.
It works.
Case an N of 1, but it can work from time to time. But I have also done different products and things like that with folks that I certainly was not friends for 13 years with, and some of them crash and burned because of that. Relationships take time. They take time, they take energy and a mutual commitment. And so you guys having that at the forefront, I think, you can't understate that. So throughout your journey, you kind of stumble upon, I don't know if that's the best verb to use, but it kind of feels like that, into the product, into product market fit. Walk me through nowadays. That was January of last year. So we're 18 months later. Who's the main ICP? Who are you selling to? And then I'd love to learn more about the sales process, because as someone that used to sell sales tech and now sells training and consulting and advising to sales leaders, it's a whole nother beast selling to a sales leader versus selling to any other type of person. So first off, I'd love to hear just more like clarity on ICP, who you're selling to, who some of your customers are.
Sure. I'll start off with where we started a little bit, and then I'll let Atul kind of go into what who we're selling to these days. But in the early days, man, when we first launched it, we got our first customer on Hyperbound, like paid customer, within the first 2 weeks. That was a 20K contract, and to us back then, 20K was like, oh,
that's
my
all
God.
the money in the world. Man.
Yeah, and I mean, for that to happen within 2 weeks too was, I think, pretty insane for us. And at the time, like, we didn't really have a concept of ICP, right? Our calendar was booked, like completely booked end to end, and we thought that was amazing. We're like, this is great. We have so many meetings, and the next thing you realize, most of those people are unqualified, right? They're people you probably don't even want to sell to. And I got to thank Florin, one of the guys who actually caused that virality to happen. He single-handedly booked us, I think, around 1,200 people just trying our demo, right? Like, they didn't book, not all of them booked the demo at the end of the day, but they tried our free demo on our website. And Josh Braun was part of that as well. In fact, believe it or not, Tom, and I can't believe I'm saying this on live, but I won't name names, but we actually had a competitor who was not even a competitor at the time saying, "We will crush you, quit while you're ahead," over an email correspondence to us.
They said that to you?
They said that to us, and they were years ahead of us as well, by the way. Not in terms of the role play, but just in the space in general. I'm sure everyone knows who it is, but I think that was also an eye-opening moment. And so from there onwards, we just kind of took the leads that were coming inbound, and we slowly started to identify patterns on, like, what's sticky, who's more interested, where is it a need to have versus a nice to have. Until now, we're starting to sell to larger and larger accounts. We've gone up market. We started with SMBs and startups, and we're seeing a big shift towards the enterprise now. So I'll let Atul take it from here.
Yeah. So as a part of that exploration journey, we found who was doubling down on us, and we started selling to just those customers. And it's what's led our NRR to be 177% right now, and it's trending to 250%. Based off of this tight ICP definition. So we're very proud of working very well for customers who fit these 4 core attributes. The first one is they must be B2B, right? They must be B2B selling a complex technical or platform product. These are consultative, relationship-based sales. They're the hardest type of sales. They're not transactional. They're not like in and out, like get me the credit card on the phone, right? These are difficult, drawn-out processes with buying committees that involve much deeper discovery, much deeper business and business acumen, sales acumen, etc. So those are the first 2 core parts of our product. The third piece is we sell to larger companies, specifically those with more than 50 sales reps. Is our ideal. We sometimes flex down to as low as 20 if they're growing fast. And a core part of what we do is we break down tribal knowledge within sales orgs. That's how we're able to drive such large improvements for performers. If all 8 of your sales reps are getting lunch at the same table, they don't necessarily have that tribal knowledge as deep as a global remote sales org who we typically work with. Mm-hmm. And the fourth piece, which is super important, is there must be a large gap between the top and bottom performers. And Tom, you might be asking, which sales org doesn't have a large gap between the top and bottom performers? There's just a couple exceptions. If they're a monopoly, right? Or if there's someone like OpenAI who's experiencing such intense PMF that the salespeople become order takers.
Yeah.
So as long as those conditions are met, we knock it out.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. That's interesting to me because my understanding of most sales tech from, my experience at Gong and knowing a lot of people at, that were in the early days of Outreach, Sales Loft, some of these other companies, it is usually the reverse. It is usually like a start small and also start like specifically in B2B tech or B2B SaaS and then work your way up market. And, when I was at Gong, that was part of the major initiatives we're trying to get into these enterprise accounts, and we're trying to get into more blue collar laggard industries. And it's interesting to me that, and it's news to me really that you're kind of taking the opposite approach and starting much higher and starting in some of these older school industries that, to me, I would feel like if you said the letters AI to them, they would run for the hills. But it sounds like that's, and this is not intended to be a, just a sales pitch of you guys. I'm genuinely just curious about those organizations, those industries. It feels like they're quite keen on this, whereas maybe they weren't keen on some other parts of sales tech. Why do you think that is?
Because, Tom, well, first of all, most of these industries are starting to take a look at AI. Like, it's one of those moments, like, we're in one of those moments right now where it's truly another inflection point, right? Just like the dot-com bubble, right, in the early 2000s, it's very similar, where everyone's starting to reconsider the way they're doing things, right? Doesn't matter if you're a tech company or not. It's all up for grabs right now. The other piece of it, I would say, is when they see, as soon as they even see what we do, like, the demo that you tried the other day, Tom, it's like it just clicks in their head, because they're like, why would I go back to the old ways of doing things when I have something like this? It just doesn't make sense. And we've shown this to like some really traditional companies, like manufacturing companies that don't even record their calls, by the way. And then they see this thing and they're just like, why are we not using this? Like, this seems like a game changer compared to what we're doing today,
I think it boils down to just one key thing here. Managers have always wanted to intervene with their reps more. They've always wanted to spend more time coaching them. They've always wanted to provide very detailed feedback after every single one of their calls, whether, it's a role play they did with them or one of their real calls. And they just couldn't. I mean, it was never in the cards for a manager to spend 40 hours a week on one rep. But when you introduce a system that can actually do that, even these folks in traditional industries take notice. They're like, wow, I finally can do the thing that I wish I could have done, but was stopped by my humanity, my human limits. So we've broken down barriers in the logistics space. We sell to manufacturing. We sell to companies in the healthcare space. The fintech companies come after us, banks as well. So folks who typically would have a AI adoption process that looked like a 2-year, very intense review with legal are shortcutting all of that because they see such value in doing what they finally wish they could have done for the past 2 decades.
So walk me through, 2 years ago, you said, we never had a disco call. We never negotiated, probably never made a cold call. Maybe you were making cold calls about other things.
Cold emails, yes, no.
Cold emails, yeah. So to me, there's so much, and I'm sure using your own product helps to have those conversations. So let's not discount that. But role playing is not the only part of sales, right? There are still emails. There are still selling in between conversations. There is multi-threading. There is the pressure of showing up at the office, and all these kind of like subtle parts, of sales and the craft of sales. So I'd just be curious from you two guys that have a more technical background and, in terms of time, are relatively new in that period and learning a lot and growing and doing quite well. What have been some of the hardest things to learn? What were any major breakthroughs? Any failure moments? Anything just from like your journey as becoming sales professionals yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, let me start off by saying we have a deep, deep appreciation for the craft.
Yeah.
There are so many things that we have learned and that we will learn along the process. But I just want to start off by saying we started off with the conversation because that's the one piece you can't get advice for in real time. That's the one piece you need to show up prepared for. You can't ask an advisor. You can't ask. So when we were building something for ourselves, we built just the piece that it was all on the line where we were in person or we were on a call and there was no one who could save us. So we started there and then we expanded out to learn the rest from our wonderful network of advisors.
Yeah. Interesting.
And when I think about sales too, Tom, it's like at the end of the day, the people that succeed the most, they're hustlers. Right? Like, it's all first principles. Like when someone sends you an email, like respond to the email, right? Like why? Like how badly do you want it? Respond to the email, right? And you'd be surprised by how many people just don't do that. Something as basic as that. And so it's just I think when Atul and I started, we didn't think of it as sales. It was just like, well, duh. Like obviously we need to send cold emails if we want to book meetings. Well, yeah, we got to do this to get to this stage. Oh, we got to ask for connections if we want to get in front of the right people. But then I think eventually at some point we turned a page where we're like, okay, what we've been doing so far needs to be documented and actually made into a process. And that's the sales process that our team follows now. And it's been tweaked and adjusted a lot by advisors and, our, first 2 sales hires here at Hyperbound. But, weirdly enough, we kind of just fell into it and then realized we were doing sales and then went back to the drawing board and we're like, okay, wait, let's just document what we've been doing here and tweak it to make sure we're doing it right.
Was sales and go-to-market talked about throughout YC or talked about in, when you were in class and in school or on the come up? Because to me, there are many founders that I know that are on the product side and are brilliant on the product side, but just, in my opinion, they just don't get it. They don't get sales. They don't respect sales. And I've worked for and with founders that, even will, cringe at like, oh, I can't believe I have to pay this salesperson commission. The product should sell itself, so on and so forth. And I think you have to have an equal respect for both sides of the house. So I don't know, is it just natural to you guys that way? Or was that a mentor or YC or something that kind of ingrained that as like the distribution side is also quite important?
I'll let Atul go first. I have my answer here, but I'm curious to hear Atul.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is also both of us have go-to-market AI backgrounds. So I worked on the Meta Ads Core ML team. I was defining ICP with 11,000 axes. I was working very closely with marketing departments, with sales teams. And, we understood from the data-driven perspective what it meant to sell. So I was on Salesforce Einstein previously as well. So we were always adjacent. So we were not insulated from sales by any means. But when we were in YC, sales was never, the terminology go-to-market was not what was brought up. It was survival, Tom. It was, how can I make it to demo day and show up with metrics that people are scared by, that people are impressed by, right? So it was, when you learn how to sell to survive, you learn very differently than what it looks like to build a sustainable, well-structured org. You take a lot of the... it's just very high effort. YC's motto is do things that don't scale. And that's how we learn to sell, by doing absolutely unscalable, very, very difficult to do things. And it taught us a lot in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. And even going back to our childhood, Tom, Atul and I have always been sellers in some regard.
I sent some stories here.
No. Like what I mean is like not selling software or products necessarily, but it's like we've been selling ourselves our whole lives, like trying to do something. Like, the first product I ever built was in high school, freshman year. I built a Chrome extension that went viral just from word of mouth. And then I started, trying to actually get the word out there myself, started doing some marketing, and lo and behold, I'm selling. Like I was like cold messaging people on LinkedIn, just never realized it was sales. And similarly, like Atul was doing some crazy stuff in high school.
I have a wild story, actually. I don't even think I've ever told Sai this. I got a patent in my sophomore year of high school for some of the electrical engineering research I was doing. And I spent nearly 2 years trying to license that patent to Cree, which is, North Carolina, actually America's largest LED manufacturer. So I relentlessly cold emailed Cree until they would respond. So it's always been, like, the hustle has always been there. It's a core part of who we are.
Yeah, I love it. So what are you looking for? I see, I don't know if this will be true by the time this pod comes out, but at least right now you're hiring some sales reps. So what do you guys look for when it comes to whether it's an SDR or an AE that you want to hire for Hyperbound, knowing that when you're selling sales tech, the sales process is a reflection of what the product is. Because if your seller stinks, then they're going to think, well, clearly they're not role-playing enough, or the role-play bots suck because this sales rep sucks. So what are you looking for? You have to have a high standard.
It's one of the things I worry about the most every day. I'm like, we cannot hire people that don't follow the process, or that aren't like running a strict sales process, because our customers are looking at that. They appreciate it when we do discovery, right? Because we're talking about how we're going to help their reps do better discovery, and if they're not going to cooperate, it looks really bad on them. I think the biggest thing, man, is hustle. I mean, we've been talking about that over and over again, but that's what I look for first and foremost. I also want someone that doesn't need to be given much, right? Like, there's a lot of unknowns at a startup this early, right? So I don't want to have to handhold them. I want them to kind of figure it out and be comfortable with figuring it out more than anything. So on top of that, I would say in terms of skill set, it's the usuals. I know when someone is not afraid of the phones, that automatically is like a really good sign. Because I've met SDRs who are just, they're like great emailers, great LinkedIn. They're afraid of the phones. And, you know, like at Hyperbound, we're heavy call culture. Like we have Bilal Batrawi. Do you know Bilal at all, Tom?
I know the name, but I don't think he and I have ever chatted. But he's
well, Bilal's Bilal's our head of key accounts. He's a cold call trainer, 15 years in the making.
Yep.
And yeah, if I brought in an SDR that was scared of the phones, Bilal would kill me. So, you know, we're
Fair.
very specific about that.
Okay, so they got hustle. They're not afraid of the phone. I have something in my notes here, Atul, that when I was prepping for this and just looking at you guys and checking out, you know, whatever internet stalking I could do, and I didn't realize your title was CRO and CTO, and I just wrote CRO plus CTO. Wow. How do you? Maybe this could go for both of you, because I know also, as you know, the CEO for you, Sai, it's, you know, equally y'all are just juggling a bunch of plates at once. But how do you prioritize in your day to day where to focus your time and effort and energy when, yes, you've got to hustle and you're going back to back and you're doing all these different things, and but you also probably do need those times of like deep work, both on the product side and on the revenue side. So you know, walk me through, how do you set priorities, and how do you kind of adjust on the fly to that?
We have been very, very intentional about this from the beginning, because as a startup founder, there's two types of tasks you have. You've got your long-term return tasks, the things that you need to invest in now to see a return from, 6-8 months down the line. You've got your short-term. I got to respond to these 3 customers today. I got to, fix these 4 features of the product today, right? So you got to be able to balance those two. And it's very easy to let the short-term tasks, because there's way more than you can do in a week already, overwhelm your long-term thinking. And you end up spinning in circles as an org strategically. So one thing that Sai and I did very, very early on was we designated one day of the week, no meetings whatsoever. It's just long-term task time, and that's Friday. So we don't take any meetings on Fridays. We'll take meetings on Saturdays and Sundays if we need to, but we won't take meetings on Fridays, because we have that time set aside for long-term strategic thinking, long-term planning, and executing, saving space mentally for those tasks that don't necessarily have the short-term return of responding to a customer that day. And it also comes down to how Sai and I split our roles, because I think it works very well. And although our titles look crazy, what we actually do under the hood makes a lot of sense to the both of us. Sai handles a customer from prospecting them, sales and marketing essentially, all the way up until they're signed. And considering so much of our strategy is land and expand, I handle a customer everything from after they've signed to their expansions, their growth. I'm responsible for NRR, for example. But in the process, how do you get a customer to be happy and renew? The product needs to be there. So the product and post-sales in our eyes are one and the same. If orgs were small, they would combine them, right? But as responsibilities grow, they get separated. For now, same function.
What are your stances on? I know that you're 100% in office, so I would be interested to hear about that. What are your stances on in-person selling versus remote selling? How important is it for you guys to get on the road and see customers versus, feeling comfortable running the entire process virtually?
Yeah, no, we both feel very strongly about this. We believe face-to-face is the future of sales. Like, I think you're going to see a comeback. Like, this whole Zoom culture that we've created, I think it's temporary. And so, yeah, we try to preach that as much as possible. Like, we'll go visit customers across the country. You should look at my calendar for the rest of this year. It's just, I'm on flights between every major city in the country for the rest of the year. And every time I pass through a city, I'm trying to, meet partners, customers face to face. It always makes such a big difference. We just closed a massive Fortune 10 customer actually the other day.
Are we going to announce the name and reveal it for the first time on this podcast?
Can't reveal it yet, but we actually went out to Chicago to meet them in person, and that's what's getting this deal across the line for us right now, because we took them out to dinner, wine and dine, and it was a nice experience.
Yeah. Do you find it at all to be counterintuitive that you're so focused on in-person for your own team and for customers, yet the obvious dichotomy is that the product itself is working remotely and doing role play remotely? Do people ever give you a hard time about that, or not really?
It's like Zoom having a mandatory in-office culture, which they do, by the way.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. No, but the way that we see it is the in-person meeting is never the first interaction. That is pretty far down the road. But relationship-based sales are core to what we do and core to what we solve for. Remember, we sell complex technical products only. We help our customers with complex technical products only. Those tend to end in-person meetings, but they always start off as a Zoom discovery call.
Yep.
And we're focused on helping that part of the funnel and help you prep for that in-person meeting. But yeah, well, our core thesis is that the close or the closing stages of a deal should 100% be in person. So Sai and I have this new setup that we're instituting where Wednesdays are our travel days. We're never in the office on Wednesday because we're in a different city every Wednesday. So
both of you?
Yeah. I'm visiting customers. Sai's visiting prospects.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yep. Travel Wednesday. I might have to steal that from you guys.
You know it? Yeah.
Cool. I want to hit you with a couple of rapid fires as we start to round up here. So we're calling this segment The One Thing. And so we're going to try to, I guess it's going to be the two things because it's both of you guys, but hit with a couple of rapid fire. So as two guys that are on the sales craft journey, a couple years into it, what is one thing from each of you, if someone was in your shoes 2 years ago, first time selling, whether it's a founder or just someone stepping into an early stage sales role for the first time, if you could give them one practical tip, what would it be?
Ask questions. I think it's really easy to pitch stuff, but always step back and just ask. That's the best thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, and even way more simplistically than that, 7 follow-up emails is appropriate and expected. So, don't even start to feel bad until you've sent your 8th follow-up email.
Yeah, you got to have thick skin.
Yep.
What is one resource that has helped you the most as either a founder or as people in the sales craft, whether it's a book, podcast, YouTube, maybe it's something different than that comes to mind, and you can't say Hyperbound's platform.
I'll steal the one that Atul's probably thinking about. Atul, you got to come up with something else.
Man.
I would say the book, The Mom Test, is something that's top of mind for me always. It's a really good book if you're like a budding founder looking to find an idea to work on. You want to learn how to run a solid user interview. It's a great book, The Mom Test.
I will do one better than you, Sai, and say Tom Alaimo's LinkedIn content.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I know who my favorite founder is now.
I just want to say I reached out to Tom first,
That is true. Love it. What is one thing that each of you guys is working on right now to get better at sales, leadership, being a founder, anything like that?
Oh man, that's a heavy question. I'm working on everything pretty much, but I would say like the two biggest things is time management and leadership, right? As we grow out the org, just trying to figure out like how are we going to scale this thing, right? By the end of this year, we're going to have 30 people if everything goes well. And so at that stage, it's like, okay, Atul and I can't be managing all 30 people at all times. So it's like, okay, are we going to have other leaders helping us out in that process, and how do we make sure those leaders are on track? So yeah, that's something that's top of mind for both of us right now.
Yeah, I've built an org from 20 to 120 before, And the one thing that I still can't get enough of, I still want to get so much better at, is hiring. The people you bring in make every difference to the culture, the success, and the growth trajectory of your org. So it's all about getting the best folks and getting better at hiring every day.
That's my fast follow-up is what's your best hiring tip, whether it's a question you ask or something you use as a filter. We talked a little bit about some of the skill sets for sales, but anything that comes to mind of that, because hiring's tough. Doesn't matter how long you've been in the game, hiring is tough and it's a crapshoot.
Yeah. I try to do the classic DQ technique, right? Just disqualify them, right? Try to tell them why this job is going to be so hard, and it's not a 40-hour role. It's not going to be. It's going to be 5 days a week in the office, right? You're going to be hitting the phones all day long, right? And then have them explain to you why they deserve to be here. That's something that works really well for me.
And I personally look for people with very, very strong personal goals who see a job here as a vessel to get to where they want to go, right? I've got no illusion that, we are the end-all, be-all life mission of our employees. But what I do want to make sure is that we are helping them get to where they want to go, because that's when they're going to do their best work. And it's very often where you see folks without a strong personal mission, and even if they're a better technical fit for the role, we will pass on them. We want someone whose motivations are properly aligned.
Yeah. At this stage, you're probably looking for people that are, budding, have some sort of entrepreneurial, dream, or, want to do that, but maybe are too afraid to take the leap or don't have a product idea or something like that, and kind of like be able to grow with them in that way.
I mean, basically, Tom, if you're available, you'd be the type of person we'd be hiring. Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
This is my interview right now.
Just throwing it out there. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, guys, this has been fantastic. I feel like we could have gone for another hour. We might need to do a part 2 when I make my way to Hyperbound HQ in San Francisco, which would be pretty sweet. Last thing that I want to get from you guys is just, an opportunity to let you kind of like say your spiel. We talked a bit about Hyperbound, but if you want to share anything about where people can find you, more about the company, if you are, it sounds like you are going to be hiring quite a bit, so where they can find out information about that, anything else you want to plug, here's your shot.
Cool. Yeah, so the easiest way to try our product out, if you go to hyperbound.ai, we actually have a free demo that's available on our website, and there are 9 free bots that are available. You can do anything from cold call role plays to warm call role plays, discovery call role plays. You can even share your screen with the bot and go through a product demo with one of them. So it's pretty fun. I will say, disclaimer, these are some of the hardest, most rudest bots on the internet. So if you do get shut down or they hang up on you, just a disclaimer, don't take it personally.
I have gotten some rude words from one of your bots before, and tried not to take it personally. But guys, I appreciate you coming on. Do genuinely just want to share that I admire the hustle and respect it, and see you guys making a lot of quick moves in the space to both on the product side, on the sales and marketing side. So it's been a pleasure to watch you guys, and excited about some of the ideas and things that we're exchanging across both sides of the table between Hyperbound and TA Sales and everything. So wishing you guys success on the back half of the year, and definitely encourage everyone to check you out that's listening right now.
All right. Thanks so much for having us, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for checking out that episode. 2 quick things as a takeaway. Number 1, we would feel honored if you left a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, if it's on Spotify or Apple or YouTube, to just let us know how we're doing, what else you'd like to see. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can check us out at tasales.co. Love to hear from you there. Much love. Have a great week.